All right, everybody. If you looked at the title of this video, it's a little bit ominous. It's not such an ominous discussion, but I want to talk about it because this is a very lot of mental things going on. You know, this is all my intangible world speech is watching our thoughts, seeing how we think, and managing our thoughts that give us the best leverage in approaching and dealing with life. And so, I would argue that I can't imagine. I guess if you're very, very sequestered in the world somewhere, it's possible. But I think most of us in this day and age, it's really hard, with all the things that we know exist, it's hard not to, at some point in our lives, to wonder like, wow, where is this world going? I wonder if the world's going to end. There's certainly signs of things that happen throughout the world that can make us question or fear what's going to shake down with the world, the environment, you name it. For those of you who are my age, you'll understand a few things I'm going to talk about. For those of you who are younger, please listen up because, what I found is it never goes, it's always present. This is my point. When I was younger, the Cold War was still going on with the Berlin Wall was still up and people were stocking up nuclear weapons. And there were times where I was young when I would be laying in bed and I'd be going, oh my God, I wonder if somebody's just going to hit a button, and that's it. That's all she wrote. I didn't obsess about it, but there were times when it occurred, and I know this happens to everybody who has exposure to understand what's going on, what's out there in the world. And we could think of all of these scenarios that could happen. Well, that was 40 years ago. And, in the throes of my deepest sabbatical meditation time of my life, this issue came up very, very strong. And whatever that guiding voices that comes out, that came forth to sort of instruct me on life, basically said to me, and I'm just going to relay, the lesson that I got when I was out meditating in the East, was, hey, you know what? Don't worry about it. Because by grace of God is the world still here at any given day. We worry, which is easy to do, especially if we have families and kids with people we love. We're not just thinking about ourselves. We're also thinking about the future in relationship to everything, There's no warm and fuzzy feeling when you think about all the nasty things that could happen in the world, whether it's the end of the world or whether it's just a catastrophic one thing or another. But the reality is that, for all we know, a gigantic meteor could come flying through the space at, 9 million miles an hour and vaporize the Earth tomorrow. We don't think about it. But could it happen? Sure. There's events out in the universe that we could be, a black hole could come flying through and we could all get sucked in tomorrow. And we don't worry about that because it's off on another plane of thought. It doesn't even register. We're very, as we should be, very earthbound with our human affairs. But the bottom line is, by grace of God, do we get up in the morning? Is anything still working? If we were to know all the insane things that are going on in any given moment in the world, that have to somehow all find their way and even out for us to keep going, it's pretty crazy. It's a crazy fabric of life, and it is quite a miracle sometimes when things are going okay, if not well, just okay. So it's that gratitude and thankful thing, and it's just another reminder. It's almost like, when we talk about this idea of death being a great teacher, because it reminds us of the value of life. People have near-death experiences and they come back and they're just awake and they realize how every moment of life should be savored because they were standing at that door where, that close. And we can use this whole end of the world thing in the same way rather than being, oh my God, what's going to happen? We don't know what exactly or when. What we do know is that beautiful things are going to happen, and very ugly things are going to happen. And in this very moment, beautiful things are happening and incredibly ugly things are happening. Unselfish things are happening and very selfish things are, they're all happening all over the world as we speak. To what degree, where, when, that's the grand recipe of life we won't ever know. But we do know is whatever we do, we can cherish in this moment, and we're fools not to. And this whole idea of looking at this, especially right now, it is getting a little more crazy. It is, because we still have all the weapons that we've always had. People have scaled back a lot of these devastating weapons, but it just means we can only blow the entire world up 5 times instead of 50. We still have everything we need, and, it's funny, it's just everything is there if we want to just destroy everything. And certainly environmentally, we can look at a lot of things going on and all the climate stuff, and it's all pretty scary if you stare at it. And the point is not to be unconcerned. It's just, again, we are in the right direction if we're using this as a catalyst to say, how do I live my life today? Because we don't know. Just like our own personal lives and deaths, we don't know when our time will come. And so hopefully we're using that idea of death as a way to inspire us to live. And it's a grander scheme view of things, that the idea of the end of the world doesn't, whatever, that's not up to us any more than our time to go is. That can also be that thing, hey, we don't know, doesn't look good, but how does that inspire me to live today and take advantage of whatever gifts and blessings I have right now? Because it's so easy to go down the rabbit hole. So many people do. We see it. People panic. People start living in fear. People feed all their fears. They try to feed the fears of others. That's really, really a big deal. And that's not going to help our experience of life while we're in it. Another thing that I'll say to you, we don't, as when we talk about life coaches who are just talking about success and stuff, that's one thing. But when we get into the world of mind and spirit, you have to talk about death. If you can't talk about death, you're missing a huge piece of that thing that we need to overcome our fear and use as an inspiration for living. Not to mention making peace with all the things and the people that we're going to lose over the course of our lives. So with that being said, this whole idea of the world ending, when it is our time to go, I'm convinced it'll feel like the world is ending, even as though it's just us. Having passed through some very powerful sort of personal deaths of my own, very, very powerful things that were pretty much like dying. One of those experiences was, it just felt like the whole world was dying with me. So I'm rather convinced that when we die, it'll feel like the whole world is, because as far as we're concerned, the whole world is dying. We're leaving to go wherever we're going, and everything else is that we believe to exist in that form will feel like it's going. And it's not don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. It'll be what it will be. We're going to move on. We become what we become. We go where we go. Our energy, spirit goes wherever it goes. It's going to be what we can't change that. Don't be afraid of that process. But for all we know, the end of our lives is the end of the world. And, as far as we know it. So, it's hard not to be, I'm not above being concerned if there's some major event that is clearly a potentially catastrophic event sitting right on our doorstep. Trust me, I'm concerned. Trust me, I'm sitting, I'm meditating, I'm praying, I'm doing all the things I can do to be like, please let this, I do that. Believe me, I do. It's impossible to be human and not be concerned when you truly are facing a catastrophic situation. However, anything short of that, let's not get lost in that world of fear. Let's stay composed. And then if for some reason we end up in a place and time where we really are faced with something catastrophic, we can bring that center and energy into a place where usually 90% of people are scared out of their mind and don't know how to react. And hopefully we can bring that, and that'll maybe help us, hopefully, a little bit through whatever that situation is, which we can't imagine how challenging those situations are. But if we bring fear into a situation, it's not going to be helpful. So we're either way. If things are going well, we're taking the best path, and if things are going to get crazy and challenging, we're nourishing a center of us that, hey, you know what, all you can do is what you can do. What is my best action in this moment? What can I do? What's the best I can do? And how can I stay centered in the middle of madness? Which I'm not saying it's easy for anybody in seriously catastrophic situations. But, okay, I think you got it. The world has already ended. At some point, the world as we know it will end. 1,000 years from now, 10,000 years from now, tomorrow, we don't know. In the same way that our lives are finite. But what can we do? We breathe, we live, we enjoy all the best things we take that we can from the world. And we watch all that crazy stuff that's going on. We go, of course, human drama. This is life, drama, death. It's always going on. And if we're not in the throes of the claws of something excruciatingly challenging, then we just thank our lucky stars and we just roll with what we got. All right? So I give you permission not to get all freaked out and paranoid about the end of the world. Even if feels sometimes like we're standing on a cliff, looking right over at it. Stand at the cliff and take a deep breath and go, interesting view. And then if you can turn around and make yourself a sandwich or something, take that route. All right. Love, strength, and wisdom to all you guys. New apprentice at the Orange Engine. We'll chat with you later.